Title: The Weight of What Lies Beneath. I stood at the threshold of the house I once called home, a place now steeped in the bitter scent of nostalgia and the remnants of derision. The late afternoon light cast long shadows across the yard, illuminating the cracked porch, a worn refuge from the storms of my childhood. I could hear their laughter, mocking and harsh, echoing in my mind. "You'll lose your mind down there," my father had shouted, his voice thick with disappointment. My mother had followed suit, her eyes rolling as she said, "You're going to disgrace this family with your nonsense about ghosts in the walls." Back then, I was the underground infestation mapper, a title they wore like a shroud of shame. I had been dismissed from my job for ignoring the rodent problem in favor of my true obsession: the strange, labyrinthine networks that lay beneath urban landscapes, the dark veins of existence where reality frayed and folklore intertwined with the macabre. I could feel their laughter like a cold blade against my skin, sharp and relentless. But that was before I discovered something incredible. Years of haunting exploration gained me notoriety and respect, turning my once ludicrous passion into a field of chilling recognition. I had spent countless sleepless nights mapping subterranean growths, documenting predatory roots that thrived on fear and despair. I had come face to face with trapped voices that echoed from the depths, distorted whispers that begged for release. I knew what lay beneath the surface, things that made my family's ridicule look like mere shadows against a burgeoning nightmare. And now, I was here to face them once more, a specter of vindication and dread. As I stepped inside, the familiar scent of wood polish, mingled with stale memories, enveloped me. It was the living room that first caught my eye. Walls lined with family photos, smiles frozen in frames, blissfully unaware of the darkness I had unearthed. I was no longer the child eager to please. I was the harbinger of truth, a repository of horrors. "Look who's back!" my brother sneered from the couch, his face twisted in mock enthusiasm. "Did you bring us tales of more ghosts?" "Actually," I began, my voice unsteady but resolute, "I've come to show you something." They exchanged glances, their smirks wavering as I pulled out a small, darkened orb from my coat pocket. An artifact from the depths, a haunted relic of my explorations. The moment they saw it, their playfulness faltered. This was not merely an object, it was a manifestation of the fears I had faced. Its surface shimmered with an unsettling energy, fractals of darkness swirling beneath like something alive. "They beg to be heard," I whispered, gripping the orb tightly. "You've laughed at me for seeing what you refuse to believe, but this is proof." "What is it?" my sister asked, her voice wavering. The bravado that had once filled the room began to dissolve, replaced by an uneasy tension that felt almost electric. "A gateway," I replied, voice low. "A threshold between our world and the one below. I've borne witness to what exists beneath our feet. Entities, remnants of despair, souls trapped in the roots of our ignorance. You mocked me. But now you'll see." With that, I pressed the orb into the center of the living room floor. The air crackled like a live wire, and as I whispered words in an ancient tongue, words that echoed back from the deepest confines of the earth, a tremor coursed through the room. The walls began to groan and shift, as if the house itself was awakening from slumber. "What are you doing?" my brother shouted, fear replacing his earlier disdain. And then it happened. The ground beneath my feet split open, revealing a gaping maw of darkness. Shadows crawled from the depths, writhing around us like macabre tendrils. I could see faces trapped in the abyss, their mouths opening in silent screams, eyes wide with despair. "Believe me now?" I asked, my heart racing. They stumbled back, eyes wide with horror as the darkness pulled itself closer. No longer mere stories, but living proof of my reality. I felt the familiar weight of dread settle over the room, a suffocating blanket of fear that I had learned to navigate through years of torment. But for my family, it was new. You treated my research like delusion, but this is what exists when we refuse to recognize the truth. The shadows surged forth, clawing at my family's sanity. I could see the moment understanding dawned on them, the realization that their disbelief had cost them dearly. "What have you done?" my mother sobbed as her knees buckled beneath her, the weight of my truth crashing down like an avalanche. Their cries echoed in the room, mingled with the tortured voices from below. I looked upon their faces, twisted in horror, the laughter long gone. They were witnesses to their own hubris, and it felt like too little, too late. Finally, in that moment of reckoning, I reached down and pulled the orb from the ground. The shadows hissed, retreating, and the fissure began to close. It was over. This was my gift and my curse, the weight of what I had learned, both liberating and debilitating. As the last remnants of darkness slithered back into the floor, I stood, chest heaving. I survived what you mocked, and now you know, you'll never forget. With that, I turned away from the remnants of my family, leaving them to contemplate the chasm of their disbelief. My heart felt heavy as I walked out, the shadows of my past trailing closely behind. I wasn't just vindicated. I was a harbinger of the truth that lay below, a truth that would never again allow them to sleep easily. And as I stepped back into the light, the air felt sharper, the world around me alive with whispers that would echo through my existence. The haunting was far from over.